I wanted to do a follow-up on the 7 signs that your body is preparing for birth. This is obviously a huge subject of importance for so many of you because about 85 to 90% of you are going to actually give birth between your 37th week of pregnancy and when you're 41 plus weeks. And that's really statistically, and it really matches like in the US, Canada, and I've looked up other countries. So it's really women all over the world that are kind of, you guys are all in the same boat if you're watching this video. So I'm glad you're here. So first, I guess I wanted to just do a quick review of how to know when you're having contractions. So early labor contractions sometimes feel like just cramps. So sometimes you don't even feel them. They're kind of mild. And other times, if you think of like really, really, really bad cramping, it just feels like your whole tummy is like completely cramped up, sometimes even similar to a bad stomach flu. And then it just kind of relaxes. And then it cramps again and then it relaxes. And so this is what the time to get one of those apps or really just start counting where you just kind of count how far apart those contractions are. And sometimes women will have these early labor contractions for like weeks on and off. They may have a period at night, they're contracting for several hours, and they're really like 8 minutes apart, 10 minutes apart, 15 minutes apart. Um, and then suddenly they stop. And I think a couple of things that I always recommend for my patients is to, if they're starting to have contractions and they think they might be going into labor, is definitely drink lots of water because sometimes that will cause contractions. If you drink water and they go away, you are just a little dehydrated. If the other thing that I recommend is for people to get something to eat, because a lot of times if you go into especially a hospital setting, sometimes they really don't want to feed you in that first part of labor. And so, or wherever you are in labor, depending on what facility you go to. So I recommend that people get something to eat before they go to the hospital. And again, if that stops your contractions, then that wasn't really true labor, right? So the other thing that we kind of recommend is when it is, if those contractions have been going for a while, and first they're 10 minutes apart, and then they go to 8 and 6 minutes apart, one key rule of thumb is when to call your provider and think about really heading into the hospital is called the 411 rule. And that rule is that if you're having contractions every 4 minutes for 1 minute in length for 1 hour, that is the time that we definitely want to hear from you as a provider. And we're going to probably be thinking of having you come in to be seen and evaluated.